What's up? What's up? What's up? You're watching CHAZZ Ellis Raw. And I'm going to be talking to you about the Steve Urkel Effect. Why you get caught up in the friend zone. What is that about? Why is that happening? Now, if you're on the chat already or you're on the live stream already, make sure you hit that super chat button if you want to ask questions, if you want to be involved as far as that's concerned. Also, use stickers, support the chat. That's how we keep this going. That's how I keep being able to do this. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you support the chat. Hit that hit the super chat button. Also hit the stickers and make sure you hit the likes as soon as you get up on the chat. Make sure you hit the likes as soon as you start watching. All right. So I'm going to be talking about the friend zone, how you avoid the friend zone, how you get out of the friend zone, and why so many people find themselves stuck in the friend zone, why so many people find themselves stuck in a situation where they basically can't get what they want out of relationships. This is something that's happening at an epidemic rate right now in America. This is one of the few times in history where you actually see more women of age 29 and below having sex than men of the same age. This is one of the few times in history. This is the first time in history actually this has ever happened. This is incredible. Obviously, we didn't poll it before, but just using our common sense, using anecdotal evidence, using written material of the time, we can say this probably wasn't going on at that time. This probably wasn't going on back in the day. Now it's crazy. You know, it's a situation where you see so few guys really, are such a small percentage of guys really being able to secure women on a regular basis or even semi-regular basis. And that was not the case 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Now it's bananas. So what happened? What happened? Yes, technology happened. Absolutely. You got Tinder, you got Instagram, you got Snapchat, you got all of these different social media sites, you got so many different dating sites. And for that reason, it can be tough for men because of the fact that women have more options. But you would think that men would have more options also. And in some cases they do, but there are so many men who are left behind who are not able to exercise those options. So what happened? What happened? Is it the technology? I think that this happened way before then, and I think the technology just exacerbated it and made the situation kind of get to where it is, and I guess hit where it's almost at critical mass a little bit earlier than it probably would have if you never had that technology. And this is where I get to the Steve Urkel effect. For some of y'all who are not familiar with Steve Urkel, I mean, some of y'all young, you may not even be familiar with Steve Urkel. For some of y'all who are not familiar with Steve Urkel was a character on a show called Family Matters. He was basically like uber ultra nerd. He was like, hello, did I do that? He wore suspenders, super high water pants that were like up past his calf sometimes, super tight pants. And he was really clumsy, but he was also extremely intelligent, super duper smart, like beyond even normal genius level. Especially as a high school kid, he was incredible. Now, Steve was in love with this girl named Laura Winslow. Laura Winslow was like, you know, this, I guess you would say like the star of the show, one of the stars of the show, and core cast members. She was like a part of the Winslow family. Steve was in love with her. He worshiped the ground she walked on. And of course, as you probably could imagine, she wasn't feeling Steve. Now, Steve actually did have a girl who did like him named Myra. She actually was kind of like Steve was to Laura, where she basically came at him on a regular. She worshiped the ground Steve walked on. But unfortunately for Myra, Steve wasn't really feeling her. Now they tried to have whatever little romance they could, even though Steve wasn't necessarily feeling her. She was very persistent. Now, as the story goes on, Steve continues to persist. He's such a genius that Steve is even able to create a machine or a serum at first and then a machine that helps him turn into somebody else, like this ultra cool Stefan Urkel. Urkel, for some of you who remember Stefan Urkel. So he's able to turn into some cool dude that all the women like and all this kind of stuff. This is what Steve is able to do with his technology and his abilities. Now, Steve, being the dude that he is, he's able to do that. Of course, Laura likes Stefan Urkel. Different things happen there. I ain't gonna get into all of it, but basically that's what the story amounts to. Ultimately, as years and years go by, seasons and seasons go by, some of the seasons you probably never watched because the show, kind of died down by the time it happened. Laura and Steve actually end up getting together. Crazy, right? But that does end up happening. This brings me to the Steve Urkel Effect. And what this show and plenty of other movies and shows did to the American male. And I think there's probably even a trickle-down effect that has affected other countries and other cultures. This is the Steve Urkel Effect. What is the Steve Urkel Effect? The Steve Urkel Effect is basically this. Steve Urkel starts out this nerdy guy. He drives, he ultimately gets this really crazy, lame car that he drives around in. He's always falling around and just bothering Laura and bothering Laura's family. Everybody makes fun of him. He's a complete and utter nerd, but he's also extremely intelligent. He's also a genius, but he's a complete and utter nerd. When he turns into Stefan Urkel, that's a completely different person who is extremely different from Steve. They're not the same person at all. So what it does is it gives you the Steve Urkel effect, says that there are only and or options or this or that options. That's basically what it is. It leaves you with binary options. Yes or no, black or white. So Steve likes Laura, but Laura doesn't like him. Myra likes Steve, but Steve doesn't like Myra like that. And those are the two options that are presented to Steve throughout the whole show. That's pretty much what he has. Date this girl who likes you, but you don't really like, or keep pursuing this girl who you like, but doesn't really like you. And your only hope is that one day, maybe Laura will decide that she likes you for the nerd that you are. Or you could turn into Stefan Urkel and become a completely different person that you probably wouldn't even like. And maybe then you could get Laura or some other girl. Those are your options. Either or. Yes or no. This is part of the Steve Urkel effect. Basically, what guys learn as time goes on is to think in binary terms. Yo, I could either get with this girl who really, really likes me, who's really, really feeling me, or I can pursue somebody who doesn't really like me and may never like me. I can completely change myself to where I don't even recognize myself in order to get girls, or I can stick to being the nerd that I always have been, not make any real improvements in that respect, and that is what I have, and hopefully somebody will just like me for me. Like maybe a Myra will come along, or maybe Laura will change her mind at some point in time. This is what we're left with today. This is why it has become so difficult for most men. This is why the friend zone is so prevalent. This is why so many guys struggle to get laid. This is why so many guys struggle to even make contact with women on dating sites, in person, on social media. This is the root cause of most of these issues. the reason that what you see on shows like Family Matters, and we're gonna break down a few other shows, but in TV, in movies and things of that nature. But when you see what you see in a lot of these movies, the theme is, hey, you're this nerdy guy, and the only thing you can do is either wait it out until you find somebody who likes you for you, or you can figure out how to settle for somebody who you're not really feeling necessarily, and hopefully that person will start liking you. I mean, hopefully you start liking that person, or maybe this girl or girls that you're dealing with will one day start liking you for who you are. This is what you're left with. So most men, when they enter into the dating market, when they deal with the dating market, what most men know is really just to walk around and be the exact same. It's not like they took Steve Urkel and said, because think about this. What if Steve Urkel would have been the same really smart guy, even maybe be a little clumsy, but what if Steve Urkel would have bought some looser pants? He didn't have to turn into Stefan or Kel. What if he just bought some looser pants? What if he just bought some cooler glasses? What if Steve Urkel just started talking in a slightly lower voice? What if Steve Urkel maybe went and got a style coach? Now, how would he be able to do all of this? He's a freaking genius. Why didn't he ever use any of his genius to make money before he even got out of high school? Have you noticed that? Steve Urkel never did that. He never used any of his genius to benefit himself, to put himself in a better situation, to increase his social status. Steve Urkel put very little to no effort into his own success. So this is what you're left with when you're Steve Urkel. And this is the Steve Urkel effect for a lot of guys. What you've learned over your lifetime is who you are is static, or your decisions are binary. Yes, no. Cool, nerd. Smart, stupid. You see what I'm saying? You've learned this because as you've gotten older, we always talk about the Disney effect on women, but we never talk about the 80s and 90s movie effect on young boys and men. We never talk about how these types of stories and this consistent storytelling made young men feel that everybody fits into this box and that's all you can be. Everything is black and white. That type of thinking makes it to where you can't make small changes that would mean all the difference in the world. What if Steve would have just gotten a job at a think tank or an R&D in some major corporation, even in high school, because he could have. I mean, he was that smart. What if he would have done that and bought a Ferrari? He didn't have to change anything about himself, but he would have got a whole lot more attention from women if he was the only dude riding around in a Ferrari in high school. I mean, you don't think that would have helped a little? What if Steve would have just updated his wardrobe, updated his look, made some small superficial changes? Stop wearing such tight clothes. Stop wearing such tight pants. Start wearing sneakers sometimes. There are certain things that Steve could have done that would have changed everything for him. But they never showed that. They said, no, these are the two options that Steve has inside of the framework of the story that I'm telling. Either Steve can A, keep dating or keep trying to date Laura, or B, he can go for Myra, who actually likes him. These are your options, Steve, period. This is why you see so many young men, because you've been inundated with this throughout the past, in some cases your entire life, most cases I guess your entire life, but for everybody, almost like since you were 10 years old or wherever you started watching these shows and movies, you've been inundated with this idea. Think about all the guys that the girl, like we'll use Laura as an example. Think about the guys that Laura dates other than Steve. Pretty boy, jock, kind of mean. They always end up making fun of Steve and getting it, and bullying Steve in some way. This is what you're left with. This is what, so even Laura's choices are binary. Nerdy Steve, mean, misogynistic jock. This is what you're left with. These are her choices when you watch the television show. It's not just Family Matters. We can go down the list. I want you guys to think about all of the 80s and 90s movies that you watched over the years. Like, even go back to The Karate Kid for some of you who watched that. Not the one with Jaden Smith, but the one that had Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. I want you to even think back to the bully from The Karate Kid. And it's the same story that's been told for years, decades. You got the good-looking, athletic, angry for no reason, we don't know exactly why, mean boyfriend. And then you got the nerdy, social outcast, admirer. Girls dating the boyfriend who, for whatever reason, usually because it's usually a situation where they've been dating for such a long time. But this guy's mean to this girl. This guy's yelling at her. Some cases he's abusive physically even. I mean, go back to some of the movies that you watched. This guy's just freaking crazy. But for whatever reason, this girl has liked him for years and years and years. But this is what you see. You'll get a guy who's in a relationship with somebody, or you'll get a girl that's in a relationship with somebody like this guy. And then she's got the nerdy, outcast, admirer. This is the story that's constantly being told. So as a guy, 9 times out of 10, because most people are not the most athletic person in the world, otherwise being an athlete wouldn't be something different. Most people don't identify with the bully in The Karate Kid. Most people identify with Daniel's son, feeling like an outcast, feeling like you really aren't the coolest person, and those types of things. So this is what you're left with. It's like, okay, I'm basically supposed to be rescuing whatever girl I date from the bully, from the misogynistic, evil, blonde-haired dude that wears a headband even when he's not playing sports. This is the type of person that I'm supposed to be rescuing my girl from. So this becomes the story that's being told. This is the type of person that you feel like you have to be. I can either be really cool and be this guy, this mean, angry guy, or I can be social outcast and maybe one day I can get a girl who loves me for me. This is what they tell you. It's always a black and white story. He's mean, so it's okay for her to go get with Daniel's son. He's mean. We can go story after story. It says the same thing. He's mean. This person writes poetry. We should get together. This is how the story is constantly being told. There's the issue. There's the problem. What you run into with this type of thinking, this type of binary thinking, is you got men and women who feel like you got to fit into a certain archetype and there are no shades of gray. The reality is success with anything is in the small gray areas of improvement. So you can be the nerdiest dude in the world, but you can also dress a little bit nicer. You can be smart and you can still dress a little nicer. You can say, you know what? Maybe my opportunities on Tinder would be changed if I took better pictures, if I dressed a little nicer, if I presented myself in a little bit of a cooler way. My situation could be a little bit different. Maybe this girl isn't dating mean, angry jock. Maybe she's dating a person who she really likes a whole lot, who actually happens to be cool, and he can have multiple things that I also have. There's not a black and white type of situation. Just because you go to the gym doesn't mean you're going to get dumber and become a meathead. All it means is you're going to go to the gym and you're going to improve your body. Just because you dress cooler or wear more, even if you're a woman, if you wear makeup and you start dressing up more, that doesn't mean you're going to become superficial and become a mean girl or airhead. You can be multiple things at one time. And this is what 80s movies kind of did, is made people think that you can't be multiple things at one time. You can only be one thing. All you can do is be a person who is the nerd at the house, just being with his friends playing Dungeons and Dragons. Or you're the jock, you're out here smacking up on nerds, slapping people around, being angry, being a misogynist, cheating on your girl all the time. These are the two things you could be. The reality is most of the success exists in the gray areas. Most of what you're going to accomplish in life is going to exist in the small improvements in the gray areas. You're not all one thing. So that means you're going to have to make improvements in a lot of different areas in order to be successful, in order to have what you want going forward. All right, so we're going to get into the super chats. Hey, what's up, Ebony? We're going to get into the super chats, and I'm going to take some questions. I'm also going to go with some questions from the DMs, from messages that I've been getting. I want to do this also. Shout out to Richard Sherman and his family. I heard the 911 call from his wife. That's really terrible, man. I want to say this. What we need to do, especially in this Richard Sherman situation, this is an opportunity for us to kind of look at things. A lot of times, people are suffering from mental health situations, and because they don't look like what we would generally see as, hey, this is a person with a mental health issue, we don't ever take it as such. A lot of people that we've written off in the past as just being drunks, drug addicts, spoiled athletes, and people like that, some of these people are suffering from brain trauma. Some of these people are suffering from different mental health issues that are causing some of the things. Anytime somebody's brain turns on them like that in some type of way, man, I really feel sorry for that situation. And hopefully it's not something permanent. Hopefully, it's something that he can kind of work through. And I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know if it's a mental health situation. But just based on what the 911 call was saying and what they said he was saying to his friends and family members, it does seem like he was kind of in a mental health crisis. So, hopefully, and that's not really a law enforcement situation. That's something also. Law enforcement really doesn't need to be called. We need more. I want to say it this way. We need more options when dealing with mental health situations, because calling the cops, which I understand why his wife may have wanted to do that, but the fact that that's an option to call the cops on somebody who has a mental health issue, a probable mental health issue, especially when they're threatening to harm themselves or something like that. What are the police supposed to do with that situation? This is why you get a lot of these police shootings and negative police interactions, is because you got a person who's possibly, especially when they're suicidal or something like that, they're in a mental health crisis, and we call the cops on the person. We tell the police to get involved. Hey man, cops, y'all need to get involved. Y'all need to come pick this person up. 9 times out of 10, they don't have the right equipment or training to deal with a situation like that. This is why I think every city, every town, every county needs to have a mental health crisis unit that comes to places with the right equipment, the right training, and the ability to talk situations out, work with people. If they do have to use force, it's not going to be deadly force because they know what they're doing. In most cases, they could be, even if you have police back them up, they can take the lead. Because jail is no place for a person with mental health issues. I used to work in a jail, for some of y'all that know, and I also used to be a law enforcement officer. So I totally understand that that's not a job for law enforcement. Calling law enforcement officers to deal with mental health issues is just not the move. And it doesn't help anybody, because it's really hit or miss whether or not that situation will be resolved peacefully. So, all right, y'all hit me up with some of y'all questions. Hit the super chat. Let me know what you got. Keep supporting the chat, man. Also, hit that like button for some of y'all that's just getting on. I know it's a few of y'all that's still getting on. I want to talk about something else that a lot of guys have been talking to me about. This is the whole, you don't deserve me at my best if you can't handle me at my worst. This is something that I talked about on a live that I did before. I want guys to understand that sometimes we're doing the same thing in the way that we're dealing with situations. If you're down on your luck right now and you're not really getting women to be interested in you, and your whole thing is, yo, when I get my money right, I'm not talking to none of these hoes. When I get my money right, I'm not dealing with none of these people. You got to understand that the reality is you're thinking the same way as some of these women that you admonish. Hey, if y'all don't like me at my worst, then you can't get me at my best type of thing. So you got to understand the fact that, hey, nobody wants anyone at their worst. Everybody's trying to date the best person they can get, or at least something close to it. Nobody's like, yeah, let me go get somebody who hits rock bottom, who's, picking up cans on the side of the road, or who's eating food out of a dumpster. Nobody's out here trying to get somebody at their worst. Nobody's trying to do that. Every single person is saying, hey, how can I get you either at least on the way up or already up? You know what I mean? So that's kind of one of those things where we got to look at it both ways in that respect. Are you the same type of person? Are you coming at women like that? Like, yo, you need to deal with me while I'm 357 pounds on the couch, not working, not going to school. This is what you need to deal with. Otherwise, you don't deserve me when I get rich and I make some money and I get everything I need in life. Because the reality is you're probably not going to do that anyway if that's your current situation and how you're handling it. And also, even if you did get your stuff together, you can't really hold a grudge against somebody else for not wanting to date you when you were in that type of state. So that's just something to think about for some of you guys. Everybody's trying to get their best prospect. This is human nature. Everybody's trying to get the best they can possibly get. Everybody's trying to get the best girl, the best guy. This is what humans want to do. So that's not a thing where it's anyone's fault. This is what humans want to do and what humans want to accomplish. So what else we got? What's up, Marvin? All right, if y'all don't got any questions for me, then I'm going to probably hit one or two more topics, and then I'll just go ahead and end early. If y'all got some questions y'all want to put in the chat bar, hit me up, and I'll work for a little while longer. Hit that super chat feature if y'all feeling it and y'all want me to keep going. This can be like a championship fight. It can end early. If y'all not engaging, it can end early. Let's get the likes up. For people who are in it and who are in here, let's get these likes up. I know some of y'all came on a little bit late. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the friend zone because that's something that's a topic I really wanted to hit. I'm going to talk about avoiding the friend zone and getting out of the friend zone if you're already in it. I know that this has been something really big. I'm going to hit you on that. Okay. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that. Do you think interracial love can work? Now, this is something that a lot of people talk about. They talk about interracial love, interracial dating, and there's a lot of negative that comes out about interracial dating. I think that everybody should try to date people of different races. Every person who, especially, I'm going to talk to black folks right here, right now, because I do hear a whole lot of negativity going back and forth between black women and black men. I say this, if you feel some type of way about black men or black women, what you need to do is date outside your race. Date every racial category that you have an opportunity to date. I'm being serious. Throughout my lifetime, I've dated pretty much every major racial category, different countries, different races, different groups. I've dated every type of woman that you can possibly think of over the years. And what that's done for me is made me understand that people are individuals, and race is one of the worst ways to predict what a person will be and what they will do. Most of the things you're talking about when you say race are actually cultural and not racial, because two black people don't necessarily have anything in common just because of their skin color. Not even their skin color in a lot of cases. You can have somebody who's as dark as me, and you can have somebody who's as, as light as a white person, and they both spit and they both actually are black. They could both have black parents. Like, look at somebody like Steph Curry. Both of his parents are black. I think one of them may be mixed or something like that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, both of his parents are basically black. So, but and then look at his daughter. Look how light she is. So what I'm saying is, if you want to have a better relationship with people in your own race, you need to understand a lot of issues that you think are racial issues, are cultural, economic issues, and sometimes even issues that are specific to you in the way you deal with relationships. Whenever I see black people talking about, oh, black men ain't shit, black women ain't shit, white women do this, only black women do that, man, what you deal with from women or what you deal with from men is mostly going to be a reflection of what you bring to the table, what you tolerate, the energy you bring, and things of that nature. If you date more people of different races, you'll recognize that. Also, sometimes the type of person you select is not necessarily the race of the person, because I see this a lot. I see a person get into an interracial relationship and date someone who is totally different from anybody that they ever dated of their own race. Not that there was nobody of their own race who was available who was similar to that person, but they wouldn't date that type of person in their own race. I've witnessed this multiple times. I've witnessed somebody date, like I know a girl, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example. She dated all football player, basketball player, buff types, playboy types. There were plenty of nerdy black dudes that she could have dated, just regular looking black dudes that she could have dated. She dates a white guy and he's a complete nerdy dude. Nothing wrong with that at all. But I was just like, and then she starts making it a racial issue. She's like, see, I'm dating him because he's totally different. I'm like, yeah, he's a different type of person than the people you date. I've seen people do this, guys do this too, where they'll date like, the most hood chicks on the planet, and then they'll go get some suburban white girl and be like, see, they're not combative. Dude, she's from the freaking suburbs. There's a lot of black girls from the suburbs too. Could have got you one of them. I mean, I'm just saying, you can get any type of person that you want to get. So back to your question, do interracial relationships work? I think they can definitely work. I think any type of relationship can work if you go into it understanding that person is an individual, and you go into it understanding the fact that when you deal with a human, you have to deal with them as an individual, not as, here's what I expected of you based on your race. Oh, wait a minute, you're Asian and you're not subservient. Bruh, that's a racial stereotype. That's not every Asian person. And you can't say it's the majority because you don't know the majority. You don't know the majority of Asian people. I know that for a fact. You don't know the majority of black people. You don't know the majority of white people. You don't know the majority of any other race. That's the reality of it. So when you deal with somebody, you have to deal with them on a case-by-case basis. And you have to deal with them understanding the fact that when I go into this, there are going to be some cultural differences. There are going to be some things that their family does that my family may not do. And that may not have anything to do with race. That may just be their particular culture and their family tradition. Just like my family might have traditions. I always hate when people will speak for all black people, because this is annoying to me. People will come into a situation, I'm sure white people probably feel that way when they do that, or any other race probably feels that way. When somebody comes to a situation and say, yeah, in our community, we do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, bro, my family doesn't do that. What are you talking about? I'm just as black as you are. That don't speak for all of us. Don't lump me in with you. That's your family, and that happens to be black. That may be every single person that you know, but you know a small sample size of people of this race. And there's stuff you probably watched on television and saw on the news that might make you believe a certain thing. But the reality is nobody has a big enough sample size to sit here and say the vast majority of any group of people do anything. Okay, Marvin said he's Hispanic and he loves African American women. That's dope. I mean, I don't think you should love them necessarily just because they're African American, but hey, if that's your preference, if that's a look you like, stuff like that, then hey, everybody got a right to their preference. Let's see. What do you think of the act of high value advice? Okay, Alfred, I think what Alfred is asking me is what do I think about high value advice for high value men? Well, first of all, I understand where people talk about high value men. I totally get some of the criteria that they have when they say high value men. But high value is going to differ in different situations. You can be high value and make $9 an hour working in a warehouse because you may still be valuable to all the women around you. You may be valuable to your family, like in a real way, you might be valuable to your family and your community. I'm not doing this in an after school special type of way. I'm saying you might actually have value, you might have prestige, and you might have status. When people talk about high value men, my biggest issue with it is a lot of times you get, because this is who gets to talk in the male community. The person who gets to talk in the male community is often the person who has made the greatest success of themselves or has the biggest platform because of what they've achieved financially. That's normally who gets to speak. And that even happened to women in the 90s, which is kind of why they are where they are now, as far as dating is concerned. But what often happens with men is we'll listen to somebody and they'll say, here's what it means to be a high value man. And all of those things are things that probably were achieved age 30, 40, 50 years old. And they say, this is what it means to be a high value man. Because this is when I started getting attention from women, when I was able to acquire these monetary things. So when I look at how I'm being treated, this is what it took for me to cross that threshold. That's what most men teach because that's their particular situation that they try to turn into, and understandably so, but they try to turn into this is the way the actual world works. So they might say, well, you need to make 6 figures. Well, you need to have this particular type of career. You need to have this type of... But a lot of times the reality of it is you don't need any of those things to have great value and be able to operate as an in-demand man amongst women and even amongst your own friends and family members. Let me use an example that'll make sense to you. Some of y'all may not do this, but what I want you to do is I want you to go to a struggle rappers concert. If you don't listen to rap at all, that's fine. Go to a struggle rockers concert. Go to the concert of a person who is not famous at all. Somebody you know is probably barely eking out $25,000, $30,000 a year. But they have fans because of Instagram, YouTube, or whatever. I want you to go to this person's concert. And I want you to watch how women react to this person. How they throw panties at them. How they go off and yell, oh my God, he's so cute. Oh my God. I want you to watch this. And it'll let you understand the real concept of high value. If you have to make a certain amount of money, if you have to exist at a certain financial status to be of high value, then why is it that you see so many people who are entertainers, athletes, people of that nature, and sometimes not even that, sometimes just a person who dresses cool and, has game. Why is it that these people are so in demand when it comes to women? If you need all of that. So for me, what I tell a guy is all you really have to do is be above average, pretty well above average in one area. If you have above average style, you're going to get opportunities with women. If you have above average physical characteristics, like you're good looking, you're in good shape, things of that nature, you're going to get opportunities with women. If you have above average game, your mouthpiece is really good, you can talk, you're funny, you can engage people, you're going to get opportunities with women. If you have above average status, not necessarily money, but people know who you are, you're plugged in your community, you're plugged in around people who know you, you are going to get multiple opportunities with women. If that's not happening for you, normally it's the fact that you're not above average in any one area. You have not pushed yourself to clearly above average in any one given area. That's not necessarily your fault in most cases because you probably didn't know that it was that easy. But it can be done. It's actually pretty easy to do. I would say the area for you to try to push yourself in is either style or game. Obviously, you want to get money, but you don't need money to get a girl. Obviously, you want to get money because you don't want to starve. That's rough. You don't want to starve. So yeah, you need to get your bread together. But you can certainly get women without money. And you can certainly be high value even if you don't necessarily have a whole lot of money, even if you don't have every single outlet pumped up. If you got one or two things, you can get money. Shout out to you, Alfred James. Appreciate you for asking your question and contributing to the super chat. Y'all make sure y'all keep hitting them buttons, hit that like button. Also get on that super chat. You know what I'm saying? Like show your support, show your love. This is how we hold accountability for ourselves. If you want some type of information to continue, you want me to keep giving you some game that YouTube is never going to promote, I'm just going to be real with you, because it's not really controversial in terms of I'm not going to sit here and bash somebody. I'm not going to sit here and pander to nobody. So for that reason, I'm not going to get the same level of promotion. So y'all got to support me to keep this going. Now, I want to talk to you guys, some of you young fellas who are stuck in the friend zone right now. I'm going to tell you how to get out because y'all on this live. I'm about to tell y'all how to get out. And I'm also going to tell you how to avoid the friend zone. So let's go with avoidance first because, hey, that's always the best. The best thing to do is get out of the way of a punch. So what I'm going to tell you is this. Most of the time, the reason why you end up stuck in the friend zone is desire. What most people will sit here and tell you is try to have the least amount of investment that you can and smash as quickly as possible. 99% of the time, that's what you're going to hear. And yeah, that in an ideal world, a lot of times them dudes are right. In an ideal world, yeah, a lot of times they're right. Here's the problem with that ideal world. It exists for very few people. If you're in the top 10, 20% of guys, then you're probably going to be in a situation where you can say, hey, if I don't smash within the first 2 or 3 days, deuces, and still be able to keep dating on a continuous basis. So for most guys, this really isn't realistic. It's like the 90-day rule for women. It's like the purity crap for women. Oh, well, girl, make him wait, and he'll put a ring on it. The reality is that's only going to work for women who are dealing with men who probably feel like they're beneath them. That's all that's going to work for. It's not going to work for like no guy who is operating at a level at or above yours is going to be like, oh yeah, let me faithfully wait with you for 90 days until you decide to give me some booty. It's not going to work that way. That's why that advice doesn't work for women most of the time. And you see them trying it, and 99 times out of 100, it's not working. The same thing with you guys. Some of you guys have heard, okay, the best way to avoid being in the friend zone is if she doesn't let you hit after this short period of time, bail out. Stop talking to the girl. Some of you have done that 2, 3, 4, 5 times maybe. Now you're to the point where you're like, well, this isn't working for me. And you'll probably end up in the friend zone anyway. Because now you're probably going to be more likely to be willing to risk it because you're like, hey, I'm not getting any real opportunities doing what you guys are telling me to do. Like I said, most of the advice you're going to get from men is going to be coming from a person who is in a different tax bracket than you are, who has made their actual goals and dreams come true. And because they made their goals and dreams come true, some of the things have actually fallen into place to where they think that these methods work just as standalone methods, and they really don't. Okay, so what do you actually do? The way that you avoid the friend zone with a woman is you have to understand that it's all about getting benefit. If you want to get out of the friend zone with a woman or not entering the friend zone at all, when you enter into any type of relationship with women, you need to understand the concept of abundance and benefit. So over the years that I've been doing this, which is almost 10 years now. I'm getting close to 10. Over the years that I've been doing this, what I've noticed over and over and over again is no guy has ever called me. In the thousands of guys that I've talked to, not one of you has ever talked to me about getting out of the friends with benefits zone. None of you have told me, Chaz, I'm stuck as a friend with benefits. I'm trying to figure out how to stop getting these benefits and just be her friend. Not one of you has ever hit me up in the history of the time that I've been doing this. Like I said, I've got a big sample size. Not one of you have ever hit me up and asked me that in all of these years. So I'm not going to say no guy has that problem. I'm not going to say no guy wants that. But I'm saying I got a huge sample size and I ain't seeing it, partner. So let's be real here. When we look at the friend zone, the reason why we hate it so much is because there's no benefit. In most cases, there's little to no benefit. If you want to start working your way out of the friend zone or avoiding it altogether, have your interactions with women have benefit. The benefit can't always be sex because sometimes you're not in a position to make that the benefit. What do they say? You're not that guy. Sometimes you just ain't that guy and you just got to be real with yourself. Sometimes you're just not the guy that's going to walk up to the girl and go, yo, let's go out on a date together. All right, I'm going to pay for some drinks. All right, we went out on a date. You didn't let me smash. Deuces. Middle finger, index finger, follow. Some people can't do that. There's only a very small group of dudes in the world who have the ability to consistently do that and still consistently date. That's the reality of it. So when you go out there with that idea, it's going to sound cool, but all you're going to do is just keep chucking girls away over and over again until you at the crib watching Pornhub and eating bonbons, still trying to watch reruns of Game of Thrones. That's kind of your situation at that point. What I'm telling you is what you do when you're dealing with women is you start understanding the concept of benefit. Most women that I talk to are trying to get out of relationships that are friends with benefits relationships. The reason why is because once a woman starts giving benefit, they want commitment. I don't care what the benefit is. If a woman buy you a pair of shoes, she's going to want some type of commitment relationship. Now I know obviously there are some outliers who are like, yo, I'm out here buying guys shoes. But I'm talking about in general, women are generally gonna want some type of commitment, some type of relationship, something after they bought you something. They're gonna want something after they made you dinner 3 or 4 nights in a row. They're gonna want something after they've been cleaning your damn your laundry and your dirty ass drawers. What's up, Taj the Great One? Appreciate you. They're gonna want something after they've been cleaning your dirty drawers, brother. Benefit. When you're dealing with a woman who is, when you're dealing with a woman and you're going or heading toward the friend zone, you feel like you might go that way because she's not sleeping with you. What you want to do is you want to start extracting benefit. Instead of, this is when you have to start becoming desireless in order to do this. All right? I want you guys to understand this concept. As long as you're chasing the booty, you will always be in a position of powerlessness, no matter how much money you get, no matter what type of car you drive, because basically you will always be controlled by that one aspect of what a woman brings to the table. That one thing that she has, will always put you in control. So when you go out on a date with a woman, you go, man, I got to hit it by the end of the night, or I got to chuck this relationship. That's going to put you in a spirit of desperation, which is going to make you far more likely to do things that are out of character or do things that you can't do. Yeah, you might go into the situation like, yeah, I just want to spend my money on drinks. But if she hug up on you, start rubbing on you, and then she's like, man, I know we just went out to drinks, but I'm hungry. You thinking, man, she'd be maybe more likely to let me hit if she was on a full stomach. Now you're spending money that you don't have, or spending money that you did not originally plan on spending. But if you go on that date and you are desireless, you say, I am on a date for the sake of being here. I'm enjoying myself. That's my purpose for being here. If you go out on a date with that mindset and you say, I'm going to extract value from the date, like, I'm going to go to the restaurant that I want to go to. I might come to your crib and be like, hey, why don't you make me something? We're just chilling. We might just be friends. Cool. I'm going to keep extracting value. If you continuously extract value, eventually she's going to want a return on investment. And that's where you being desireless comes into play. If she wants a return on investment and she can't use the fact that she has sex to manipulate you into spending money, into doing things for her, then the only return on investment she's going to be able to get is to try to get into some type of relationship. And if you're desireless, that means that you're going to control the access or the ability for her to get that relationship. See, people always say women control access to sex, men control access to relationships. That's only true when one person has something that the other person wants. Sometimes, if you're in a situation with a woman and she doesn't want a relationship with you and she doesn't want to have sex with you either, you don't have control over either one of those things. She has control over both of them because she could say, the only way that I would ever have sex with you is for you to be in a relationship with me. And I don't want that from you. Well, of course, if you feel like that's the only way and your whole goal has been to sleep with her, you're going to fall into trying to get into a relationship because you know that's the only key to get what you want out of the situation ultimately. If you go into a situation being desireless and just extracting whatever value you can in the moment, now she has a desire to get some return on investment for the value that she's put into the situation. If she bought you the new Jordans, she's going to want to get her investment back. That's human nature. So now, because she did that as a friend or whatever you want to call it, because she did some of these things, because she's been washing your clothes, because she's been washing dishes as a friend, because she's been letting you use her frequent flyer miles As a friend, now she's looking at the situation like, yo, he was a cool shoulder to cry on. He was a fun person to be around. But this dude doesn't seem to want sex from me. He seems to be extracting resources from me. Now she feels friend zoned. She's like, because that's why you feel friend zoned. That's why you want the girl so bad after she friend zones you. No human being on planet Earth wants to feel like somebody got over on them. The best way to turn the tables on a girl, and I know some of these women gonna be out here like, you sound broke. That's cool. I'm not over here trying to pretend to be rich. I'm being myself and I'm giving you advice based on wherever you are in the world. If you extract value, the woman is going to automatically, because they're human, they're going to automatically feel like they have to get their investment back. This puts them in a situation where now they're chasing whatever opportunity they have to get their investment back, because now they feel like you're not trying to hit. And it's easy for you to do this because most women feel like every dude wants to smash. Most women feel like every dude in the world wants to smash. And that's all any man got on his mind. So if you're hanging out with the girl, chilling, having fun with her, she's not going to necessarily think, oh, well, you know, he always brings his clothes over here for me to wash. She's not going to necessarily think, oh, you know, we hung out and went on a date the first time, but he wasn't even trying to smash. Now he come over here and he's got me making food. She's not going to think that 99 times out of 100 because y'all are friends. You talk to her about her problems. You help her with whatever stuff you need to help her with that's within reason and within your wheelhouse. But you also extract value. Even if she's gotten some value from the situation, 99 times out of 100, she is going to want to get even more value. She's going to want to get more value than you got. That puts you in a position of power. You are desireless. So you don't want anything other than the value that you can extract from the moments that you spend together. You're not trying to hit. You're not trying to get a relationship. You're having a good time and you're extracting value from each moment. She's trying to get to an end game because she's now invested. So now she needs an end game. This is how you flip the tables. This is how you get out of the friend zone. This is how you avoid the friend zone. Because I promise you, if you can extract enough value, not only is she going to give you the draws, she is going to beg and push to give you the draws. You might think, you might be like, what? Nah, hell no. Bruh, she's going to beg and push to give you the draws. She's going to demand. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. I want you to think about yourself. Think about yourself. Use yourself as an example. Do you like to feel like somebody benefited off of you and you didn't benefit? Do you like to feel like a sucker at the end of a situation? Of course not. Not one person raised their hand like, yeah, I love to feel like a sucker. That's not human nature. So since you do not like to feel like a sucker, since you do not like to feel played, since you do not like to feel used, you have to understand the same thing is true with her. This is why women are constantly trying to get out of the friends with benefit zone. That guy may take them out to dinner. He might spend money on them and then they let him smash. But they still feel like they're not getting full benefit. They still feel like they're not getting everything they're supposed to get, which is why they keep pushing those relationships and keep trying to push for some type of commitment. That dude may not be any better than you are. You and him might be operating on the exact same level. The only difference is he's come into the situation probably from the beginning without really having any desire. He probably came in, because a lot of times, let's be real, y'all talk about Chad and Tyrone, y'all talk about broke dudes and dusty dudes. Well, the reason why you see a lot of broke Chad and Tyrone types getting so many women is because in most cases, their idea isn't just to get a woman to have sex with them because they can get that. When they deal with a woman, I've been here myself. When I deal with a woman throughout my entire existence, I never been like, oh man, I just trying to smash. Because if that's all you're trying to, you should be able to do that. So once you've been able to do that enough, you're not going to do that anymore. You're not going to be like, oh, I just want to smash. You're going to go into a situation like, hey, I'm supposed to benefit from my time. I'm supposed to benefit. Like, what are you doing for me other than just having sex with me? What are you doing for me to make my life better, to improve my situation? How are you actually a value to my life? And if you enter into every relationship and every situation thinking that, then it makes it to where now this woman's not going to just be able to control you with sex. Appreciate you, Taj. What's up? Thank you, bro. A woman's not going to be able to control you because you are desireless. Anytime you know what a person wants, you will always be able to control them. This is in life in general. This is in any walk of life. If a person knows your desires, if they know what you want, they will always be able to manipulate and control you. 100%. If a person knows what you want, the faster they know what you want, the quicker they will always be able to manipulate and control you. When you are desireless, you are dangerous. You show me any person who is completely desireless, that person is dangerous. That person is uncontrollable and unpredictable because they have no desire. You have to make sure that you are getting something out of the situation other than the obvious. You're not pursuing sex and sex only because they already know that's what you want. And when somebody knows that's what you want, what they're going to do is they're going to manipulate the feeling that you could get that to get more out of you. It's like a con game, man. What con artists will do is they will figure out what you want. You can only con a greedy person. You probably, maybe y'all didn't know that, but you can only con a greedy person. Like some of y'all know, I used to work as a police officer. I worked in law enforcement for a while. I learned a lot, especially when I worked in the jail. I learned a lot from guys who were doing time, con artists, drug dealers, burglars. And one of the things that I learned from them is the concept of greed. See, what a con artist will do is they will look at what you desire, what you want the most. Say it's fame, say it's money, whatever. Like you see some of these con artists on the internet where they'll show you everything you ever wanted. Man, I got cars, I got a big old house, I got a $300,000 watch on, I'm balling out of control. They'll show you this. And then they'll make you think, oh, well, it's so easy to get it. Anybody can get it. Any fool could get this. But you need these secrets. Now, you find yourself paying them money because they give you like little gems, little pieces. A lot of it's common sense, but it sounds so smart and so cool. I mean, because there's no real common sense. It's something you probably haven't heard before, but they done heard it floating around a million times. They give you this information, and then of course you go, damn, if I had more of this, more specific information, then I would get rich. Now you start giving them more and more money and you realize there really is no more specific information for them to give. The same thing happens when you find yourself drowning in the friend zone with a girl you really liked, a girl you really were trying to get at. Sometimes you could have even just been trying to smash and find yourself floating into the friend zone. And the reason why this happens is because they realize what you want. They then play on your desire to get you to invest. And they use the small investment that you've already made to get you to invest more. So you may give a small investment of drinks and say, yo, if I don't hit, I ain't talking to her no more. Now you give that small investment. The girl rubs on your leg while you out there, cuddles all up and cozies all up to you, kisses you on your neck. She does little things and you go, dang, I could hit. And then she goes, no, I can't really do all this. I can't do that right now. You know, you start thinking to yourself, man, if I had one more date, I'm sure I could smash. I'm sure it could happen because that's your goal. That's the one thing you're thinking about. Now you go out on that second date with her because you thinking, even though I was going to toss her to the side, I can't do that because I was there. She says, well, you know, I'm kind of hungry. Do you even like me? You know, she starts doing things like that to where you start going, man, if I invested just a little bit more, I don't care what rule you put in your head and what you said you was going to do and all that. Now that you see the real goal in sight, it sounded cool in theory, but when you see the real goal in sight, you start going to yourself, man, if I did that, if I just bought that little meal, maybe I got a shot at it. Maybe you've already tossed 2 or 3 to the side and you realize that wasn't working. So now you're like, yeah, let me go ahead and get that meal for it. Now you get the meal, you just spent some money, boom, now you're caught in the cycle. Now you're over here spending more money because you already spent some money. That's how you get caught in the cycle. She keep giving you a little kiss, give you a little hug, pulls back, comes back again, does a little bit more, pulls back again, comes back and does a little bit more, and she keeps the cycle going. This is how people stay in the friend zone for years and years and years, because ultimately they have put this one thing as their goal, and anything else that they've accomplished in this relationship or this dealing means nothing. A lot of times they haven't even tried to get anything else out of the situation because all they think about is, I gotta hit, and if I don't hit, it was a complete failure. I look at it from this perspective. Get you a fresh pair of J's. Get your clothes washed. Get your food cooked. Get her to wash your car for you. Whatever. Use some frequent flyer miles. Those are valuable. Get her to rent you a car. What I'm saying is, it may sound like some hurt and broke stuff, but a lot of y'all ain't rich. Let's be real. You know what I mean? And you ain't got to be. Everybody on the internet trying to pretend like they got $10 million in the bank. But what you want to do is you want to extract value. Because once you extract that value and you look at that as something, it'll be easier to cut it off if it's not working. Because then you could be like, you know what? This chick ain't really feeling me. I'm not worried about just having sex with her. I've extracted value from the situation. She's got value from the situation. You know what? It's 50-50. Boom, I'm out. I bought, maybe I did some stuff for her. She did some stuff for me. I didn't get to hit. I'm good. Or I'm cool with being her friend. Maybe I could smash some of her other friends. Maybe not. But I'm getting something from the situation, so I'm not leaving mad. I know that's not what you hear on a regular basis, but a lot of times advice is given from a perspective of, hey, I got it made and this is the perfect world. If you don't necessarily have it made and you can't get perfect world situations to go your way, then you got to work with what you got and from where you are. You may not be in a situation where you have such an abundance of opportunities that you could just throw everybody to the side if you can't hit it within 2 to 3 dates. You may not be in a situation where you can just throw everybody to the side if they try to put you in the friend zone. But if you take all of those friend zone situations and have them benefit you, then you could be in a situation where you could start getting chicks on a regular. Let these girls that you friends with upgrade your wardrobe. Get in on a buddy pass and a gym membership. They got you in the friend zone, right? Oh, we friends. Let me use your buddy pass. Then get your body right. Next thing you know, you may not get them, but you get somebody else. And then you probably be able to double back and get them at some point. They're like, oh, I done paid to upgrade this fool, and now he over here sleeping with these other girls. I'm not going. And then next thing you know, they let you smash. That's how it works in the real world for people who don't have $10 million. Yeah, I mean, I could give you advice if you had $10 million. Yeah, snap your fingers, or yeah, tell these girls, hit the road if they don't give you what you want immediately. Rule with an iron fist. That's dope when you got 10 mil in your pocket. That's dope when you got 10 million in your pocket. But I'm gonna tell you this too though. When you got 10 million in your pocket, That only works as long as you're dealing with women who are under you financially, young in a lot of cases, and don't know that they can have parallel options to you. Because if you're dealing with a woman with parallel options and you try to really work that type of game, it's not going to work because you're going to be dealing with other dudes that got money too. I'm going to tell you this, the real truth. When you get money, it's not like it's just an automatic, just switch flipped and then every girl you ever dealt with that wouldn't talk to you is all of a sudden all on you. Because you got to remember, if they're in that circle that you're currently in, that means that they're surrounded by dudes with money too. You're always going to compete at your own level. That's just the reality of it. It's like you take a dude that was really good in high school and he was killing it, just doing it up. Then he goes and plays D1. He's surrounded by people who are closer to his level. If he ever makes it to the NBA, the margin of talent is like so razor thin that even when you look at somebody like LeBron and compare him to the last man on the bench in the NBA, yeah, the gap is really wide, but it's nowhere near as wide as the best basketball player on your high school team and the worst basketball player on your high school team. I mean, the best basketball player on your high school team might be going between his legs and dunking, and the worst basketball player on your high school team might barely be able to dribble. Just do that. Just think about it from that perspective. So when you got money, you got resources, you got opportunities, what you got to realize is that does not mean that it doesn't mean that you're going to be the only one with them. You're going to still be fighting and competing with people. So you got to have game. Otherwise, you haven't really solved your real core issue. Appreciate you, Taj. Appreciate you, bro. All right, who else got something? Also trying to hit that super chat, man. Come on now. Let's keep it going. We'll keep it going for another 5-10 minutes, just depending on whether y'all feeling it enough to keep it rocking. Hit that like button if y'all on and y'all want to keep it going. I got plenty of videos like the business of relationships. I think all y'all guys especially should check that out, man. Go to CHAZZELLIS.com. I'm going to leave a link in the description box to give y'all a discount for that if y'all want to get that. But that is a good video for you guys, especially because it really shows you some of the things you need to learn as far as business is concerned and using relationships in business. You got to master business. But you also have to master relationships in order to be successful in business, because as y'all get older, for some of y'all younger ones especially, y'all recognize that business is all about relationships. Business is probably 75% relationships. It really is. If you're smart, if you have a lot of skill, you'll be able to get past a lot of stuff, but the relationship thing will continue to rear its ugly head. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how capable you are. It'll rear its ugly head because people will try to hire people that they have relationships with, that they build relationships with, before they hire somebody who's more qualified, more intelligent. Real shit. So that's something you got to do, because there's going to be a glass ceiling. If you don't really start understanding relationships, there will always be a glass ceiling. There will always be a glass ceiling that you'll hit, where people say, man, let me hire my brother. Let me hire my cousin. Let me hire a dude I went to high school with. Let me hire the person that I thought was the coolest in the interview, rather than a person who's really smart, really does their thing. How does a woman extract value without giving it up? I mean, you basically extract value. First of all, when you're a woman and you can reverse this same situation. Like, say you don't want to be caught in a friends with benefit zone, or say you already were in a friends with benefit zone and you're trying to get out. Stop pursuing a relationship immediately. If you're pursuing a relationship, you're going to always be in a situation where you ain't getting out. All right? You may get, what they say this in jail. Like I told you, I used to work in the jail, man. They got a bunch of cool sayings. They say some get by, but they never get away. If you are in a situation where, as a woman, you're trying to get a relationship out of a friends with benefits situation, you're hustling backwards. The way to avoid those situations and get out of them is to stop pursuing relationships. What you want to do instead is you want to pursue opportunities, good times, resources. You ain't necessarily got to let nobody smash if you don't want to. Just like I was telling these guys, not worrying about that. You don't necessarily got to let somebody smash if you don't want to. But what you do have to do is you have to understand that if you're not extracting resources that you hold to be valuable from an interaction, then you're always going to feel slighted, which is going to cause you to give it up, even if you have it in your mind that you're not going to do that. So, for instance, if you go out on a date with a dude, right, and you spend money on a date with him, you say, you know what, I'm not going to let him hit. I'm going to go Dutch with this dude. If you go Dutch with the dude, then the dude doesn't even try to hit. He just calls you another time and says, hey, I'm going to come over and eat. You make him some food or something like that. Then eventually what starts happening is you start feeling like you haven't gotten any value from the situation. So now you want to extract value and you want to get a relationship going, because that's going to be the only way you feel like you can get value from this dude. Next thing you know, the only way you're going to find your way to get there is to let him hit. You can sit here and give him all that 90-day rule crap. You can sit here and give him the year and all that. So if you want to extract value from relationships with dudes, what you do is you take a list of all the non-sexual and all the non-relationship things that you want. It could be financial, it could be emotional, it could be whatever. Take a list of all of those things, and not only just from one dude, but from everybody you encounter, start being able to extract those things from everybody. Fellas, you could do the same thing. The advice works both ways. You can do it. It don't matter if you're a man or a woman. Once you remove desire from a situation, now you can start getting value. But as long as you desire a relationship, as long as you desire sex, then you'll always be in a position where they will have the control, they will have the power, because they do have the access to that. So as a woman, if you want to get value, write down the things that you want. Don't necessarily worry about who you're getting it from. If it could be any dude, pretty much, get it from anybody. Fellas, the same thing. You don't gotta just talk to 10s. You could talk to somebody who's not a 10. If you're no longer trying to get sex, but you're actually just trying to get all the value you can from the relationship, guess what? You don't have to deal with everybody that's a 10. And because you got so many people that's adding value to your life, when you do want to get a 10, it's going to be way easier. Because you're not going to be somebody just pouring out all your resources trying to get somebody. All right. Was that it? Was that all we got? All right. Appreciate you guys for coming out. Make sure you tune in for the next live. That's going to be next Thursday. God willing, the creek don't rise. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also go to CHAZZELLIS.com. Check out some of the premium content that I have. It's your man, CHAZZ Ellis. Peace.